I need this to be sent to student services. Mr. Dallas, how are you?
Oh, good, thanks. So,
Nice to meet you again.
sorry I'm late.
Okay, that's okay, that's okay. Miss Young is gonna take notes for us, okay?
Okay.
So come on in.
Great. I don't remember what the Mrs. Nichols is going to be here?
No.
She's not? Okay.
Well, I'm gonna read everything, because my book said I'll read all the reports.
Is that what you want to do? Okay.
Miss Young was in the office?
Yes?
Hi, Secretary.
Okay.
I'm she's gonna take
Hi.
notes. All right, so why don't we get started on what your concerns are, and then maybe I can fill you in on some
Yeah.
of
School, I just brought some things. Because I've been in minutes, in meetings where people take minutes, and oftentimes it's just like, what paragraph, like what we discussed, you know, this paragraph, that paragraph, things that were just discussed. It's not really what was said. So I might take notes. Okay, do you want to start, or
Well,
should
no,
I?
because you requested a meeting, and because of your concern regarding the letter of warning, you wanted to know why we had the letter of warning, why he received it, then you said you wouldn't sign it, and that's when, you know, so.
I didn't
I'm
actually
not-
request the meeting. I wanted to meet with Abdu's teachers,
Okay.
and you said, okay, why don't we have a meeting? So the request was actually yours. Okay, I have to make sure everything is told truthfully today. It's very, very critical that I do that, okay? So if I stop you and I say, can we just go back to that other point and say that again, please? Don't be impatient. Work with me, okay? So I didn't request the meeting. You did. It's because I want to meet with Abdu's teachers, and you banned my access to that. So that's why we're here. Okay, proceed.
I didn't ban your access.
Okay.
I said we had an appointment to meet with Ms. Ward.
Mhm. We didn't actually have one. You proposed a date and a time
Yes.
where
And
we can
you-
meet with 3 people instead of me and her individually, which was contrary to my request of meeting with her individually. So we never actually had a meeting
We
scheduled.
requested, I emailed you a date and a time, and you did not want to meet if there was going to be a third party in the room.
Yes,
You asked for an individual.
yes,
Okay,
correct.
all right.
And I have met with many of Abdu's teachers in the past, one-on-one, for academic reasons, because he was getting 60s, which was dangerously close to failing. So I met with many of his teachers in the past without incident. You know, his marks are getting better. But okay, proceed. Where were you going with that? Like,
Nowhere.
okay, so I'm assuming I still am banned from meeting Abdu's teachers individually, one-on-one?
Banned? I
Yes.
don't know if banned is perhaps not
The
the
correct
word.
word? Okay, what is the correct
You are
word?
more than welcome to meet with Abdu's teachers,
Yes.
and there will be an administrator in the room.
Okay. That's a, I'm going to do things in sequence, I'll get to that. Again, do you want to proceed, or should I?
No, go
Okay.
ahead. that's
Okay.
fine.
So I just want to know, can I have the written reports of the
Okay.
incident?
So which incident would you like to discuss? The one with regards to the letter of warning, just because you want to be specific? That was the incident that caused him to receive his letter of warning.
Okay.
And then, from my understanding, you were not comfortable signing it.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, correct.
So do you want to know about the incident that led to his letter of warning?
Yes,
Okay. We also understand that he did not get suspended,
yes,
nor did he have a detention for that.
correct. It's a
It was
warning.
a
It's a
tool
letter
of
of warning.
communication with
Yeah.
you, as I had
Yes,
told you.
yes.
Okay, so far we're good?
Mhm.
Okay, so on March the 12th, we were asked to go to see Miss Ward's class.
Can I have the report, the written report?
No, we don't give our documents
You
away.
don't give the
No.
documents away?
Mm-mm.
I don't actually want you to give away, I just want you like to
No, we
give me a
don't.
photocopy
No.
of it.
No, you don't get a written copy of the report. That's why we're sitting here in a meeting and we're discussing and we're
that's
taking
why?
minutes.
Okay, I mean, I'll verify that in the future if I can get a copy of the reports, but go ahead, read it then.
These
It's
are school reports, they're not,
Yeah.
there's nothing in here that's, you know.
legal, like it's not
No.
official, like
No,
you're not bound
it's our
by
own
it?
reports, it's our own documents, we take notes.
But you're
Of
bound by it,
incidents?
or can you say, well, maybe it didn't really happen that way after all, I'm sorry? Or do
No,
you
these
stand by it,
It's
like?
our report, it's something that we put our names on, it belongs
Yeah,
to us.
yeah, okay.
So on March the 12th, we were asked to go see Miss Wood's class because there was some disruption. And Miss Nicholas went to the classroom, and she found some students were laughing and talking very loudly, so they were disturbing Miss Wood's, she was trying to teach, and they were disturbing the class. When she walked in the doorway, she tried to get the attention of the students who were misbehaving.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last sentence, because I'm taking notes? You're
When
talking very loudly. Okay, yeah.
some students were talking
Yeah,
loudly,
yeah.
so when she came in, she asked for the students to stop talking
Mm-hmm.
on a few occasions. Some immediately responded and stopped, and others did not. So she intervened. She tried again a second time. There were some students who did follow the rules and some who were not listening whatsoever. And she identified those students. I can read a little bit more about that. So there was a group to her left still making jokes, laughing and making inappropriate comments. Miss Nicholas overheard Abdul speaking to the teacher say, "That's not the way to do it, it's this way." They were talking about the projector, I believe. Miss Nicholas asked for complete silence. He still kept talking to her about the smart board very loudly. When she and Miss Nicholas intervened, she asked the students to sit down. She kept them behind, the students who were misbehaving, and Abdul was one of those students. And that is what led to the letter of warning.
That's what led to the letter of warning?
There was some talk.
There was some talk?
They were misbehaving, yes.
Okay.
They received the letter of warning. So the students were identified,
Mm-hmm.
and he received the letter of warning. Then we asked for the parents to sign that signature, because we want to have an environment where all the students can learn.
Okay, so that's the incident?
That was the incident that led to the letter of warning.
That's the only incident that led to the letter of warning?
That is the incident that led to the
That
letter
is
of warning.
the incident?
Yes.
We'll phrase it that way. The incident.
When we contacted Ms. Ward regarding the names of the students who were on this list, she then informed us that Abdul's name has come up on several occasions, that he mumbles under his breath, that would be important to mention, that he's disrespectful on several occasions, and sometimes he's talkative. There was an incident as well that happened that she had observed prior to this that involved one of our childcare workers, Ms. Cornwall.
Okay, the child care worker's name is Mrs. Cornwall. Okay.
All 13 parents on that day were called. They attempted, Miss Nicholas attempted to call Abdul's mother. Abdul's mother's phone did not, nobody picked up, and then we called you. Okay?
No, well, nobody called me about that. Mrs. Cornwall's incident?
No, not Mrs. Cornwall, Miss Nicholas.
Yeah, but about Mrs. Cornwall's incident, nobody called me.
No.
Nobody called me.
On March the 17th, Miss Nicholas went back to Miss Ward to collect the letters of warning that were signed. All students had their letter signed, and Abdul replied, "My father refuses to sign it. Call him if you have a problem." That is what Abdul answered.
Can I interject?
Absolutely,
Okay.
sure.
Because, actually, go ahead, just finish your story.
No, that's fine.
Oh, are you finished?
Well,
I thought we were near the end, that's why I decided.
That's no problem.
Okay. So, the events of that day are a bit different than what you've related. And that's why I would like to have Ms. Nicholas, because you weren't actually there, right? So, you do,
But this is the reason why Miss Nicholas wrote the report, and I just read it to you.
Okay. So what happened, and there are like 30 witnesses to this, like in the classroom, children, and I'm assuming Mrs. Ward. I would like to meet Mrs. Ward. someday. So what happened that day
Ms.
was,
Ward would like to meet you too. That was why we tried to make the appointment last week,
okay,
beginning of this week. She was more than willing to sit down.
I don't know if I should get into that right now, it would distract from the topic.
No, I just, like I said.
I'll
it's
get into
open
it. It's,
To meeting with Ms. Ward, not a problem.
yeah, I'm gonna get to it, I just don't want to distract from the sequence of events right now. So, what happened that day, according to Abdul and 30 other children in the classroom, okay, is that they were preparing to go to media lab. So leave the media class and go to media lab. To do that, you have to get in line at the door. So there were 30 kids in 2 columns at the door, waiting to go outside. And Mrs. Nicholas had not made her appearance yet. So they were all standing up, ready to exit. And when they are put in line in that fashion, they are always quiet. Okay? It's not like they're talking or throwing things, objects, whatever. If they're in line, they're ready to go out, nobody's talking. It's like a tradition, you know, like you get in line, everyone stops talking. There's like no noise at that point. He did say that previous to that, when the class was going on, the immediate class, there was usual behavior, which is, the bad kids talking, usually, as usual, making noise. But not worse than the 2 previous times that Mrs. Nicholas had to come to class to restore order. She did come twice previously to that day to have to restore chaos, remove chaos. So when they were standing in line, all quiet, like monkeys, because they're ready to go into the hallway, it's like their behavior, normal behavior for that, Mrs. Nicholas came in at that time into the dead silent lineups. And she looked around and had a small interchange with the teacher, thanks for coming, whatever. And then she, Abdul, in his innocence, okay, there's 2 terms, there's one word, innocent, but it's used in 2 terms. One, he's innocent of any crime. I'll use that just for lack of a better word right now. He's innocent of any crime. And also, he's innocent in his emotions, like he's thinking, I never did anything wrong, so, yeah, the vice principal there, but whatever, I can just talk to the teacher at this time and help her with the problem. It was his innocence of thought and spirit where he said, me talking to the teacher at this point, to help her is not going to affect my standing in any way, shape, or form, like discipline reaction or anything. So, I'm a good kid. So he had that innocence, and of course he had the other term of innocence where he doesn't talk loudly in class. He wasn't doing that at that time. So there was no incident for her at that time when she walked into the class. And Abdul proceeded innocently to help the teacher. So then Mrs. Nicholas kind of took a look at the lineups, and she said, this section, she picked a whole big section of about 7 or 8 kids. All of you, please stay behind. Abdul was in that group. She also picked 2 or 3 other kids in other sections of the lineups. So I'm assuming she knew who she was looking for, because it wasn't totally random. It was kind of random, like this whole section, like whoever's in this section was held behind. It was a section. It wasn't like you, not you. It was a whole section. You guys, stay back. So that was arbitrary, but not completely, because there were 2 or 3 others that handpicked from other parts of the lineup. Okay, so a total of about 10 kids were told to stay back. They didn't really know why exactly, but The other kids went to Media Lab, and these 10 kids, yeah, I know you don't write down everything, but this is kind of important, if you would. The other kids all went to Media Lab, proceeded to go to Media Lab, and these 10 or so, 9 or 10 kids were held back and told to sit down. And Mrs. Nicholas sat down with them, and the teacher left, so she was basically the acting adult at that time for the classroom. She gave them an assignment. She said, please write an assignment saying, how would you improve this classroom? So they all proceeded to write their composition, still not knowing why they're being held back. So at some point, Ms. Nicholas texted the office. I'm assuming it's you or the secretary. Could have been, I don't know. You know, if necessary, one day we could have access to those texts. But even if they're deleted, I'm a computer engineer, by the way. This is probably good to mention it. Being a computer engineer, I know that you can't delete emails or text messages. They are on servers all over the planet, actually.
I know, we try to tell our students that too.
Yeah, I know.
Because they get on social media and they write all kinds of crazy stuff.
You can't delete that
I
stuff.
know, once it's out there, it can be held against you later on, for sure.
And it could be on Videotron servers. Videotron transmits them sometimes through China. If there's a lot of traffic here, like it goes to China and comes back to your neighbor. It's crazy how these networks work. So you can't delete text messages. So we'll have access to that. So anyway, she didn't actually talk to anyone during that period, like at the office. She just texted. Students can see, right? She's going texting. And then someone came up from the office. I think it was the vice principal of junior student classes, Mr. Do you know his name? It's not a secret. I mean, you know, we're all adults here. You know, we can tell. We can say who the vice principal's name is.
The vice principal is Miss Antonacci, it's a woman. Yeah.
No, it was a man. It was a man.
I'm not sure. It could have been a student supervisor. It could have been a vice principal.
It was a vice principal.
Okay.
It was the vice principal of the junior student, the Mr. His name is?
Mr. Zampini, but I don't know that this actually happened.
I know. I'm just telling you what the witnesses are saying. 10 people and possibly on board. Then no one decides to declare on record. Okay. So I'm assuming it's Mr. Zampini because it was a man and it was a vice principal. So he came up at one point with the letters of warning of detention, 10 copies.
With the letter of warning of what? Of detention? There's no
suspension.
Letter of warning of suspension.
Suspension. All of them signed by Mrs. Nicola Takuros, okay, because she, as I found out later, she's the person who is the only person who's responsible for giving suspensions. No one else is actually allowed to, you know.
Well, the vice principals are allowed as well, but my signature was there as well as.
You're the only person authorized to give a suspension to a child.
But a vice principal is authorized to give a suspension as well.
It's not the information I got. So anyway, they were signed by you, and the mister brought them up to class. Mrs. Nicholas took the letters. She filled them out with the names of the children, and she signed them all and handed them out to the kids without any explanation. And at that point, it was the end of the class. It was time for the end of the class, and like the timing of the bringing of the letters was time for the end of the class. So she basically just handed them out, the bell rang, and they all left. Okay, so at this point, the kids never got an explanation, and to this day, they never got an explanation. So technically, they don't know why they're being warned of a suspension. As a matter of fact, they had many discussions amongst themselves. Why? You know, is it this, is it that? Like, because, you know, you did that or you did this. You know, they had serious discussions, debates. Would you like to write that down? The kids had some serious discussions and debates amongst themselves as to why these letters of suspension were given to them. And to this day, Abdu has never received an explanation. It's just, you know, hearsay and what, you know, what he might have heard from me or somebody else, basically. So that's what happened. You know, we do have witnesses to back this up, and we can go into it further. But at this point, I would just like to establish that you had signed those letters. During that period, or well, I mean, I'm sure this stuff was discussed earlier, but was it during the period, or was it previous to the period, that morning, or a different day?
No, I don't sign suspension letters before incidents happen.
Okay, so it was during the class?
It's on the spot. We make decisions and we write letters.
So
it was a tool of communication for the parents to be aware.
There was no incident in that class,
Oh.
And the information was relayed to you by text mail. So text message.
Not really, but okay. I mean, that's, you know, this is your version of the story, but that's okay. In the end, I signed a letter of warning.
Mm-hmm.
It was a method to communicate with the parents.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying to establish some rules of conduct in the classroom so the teacher can teach.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not meant, as you called it, a sanction at our last meeting, and I explained to you it wasn't a sanction.
No, it's not a sanction. I'll go on the record as
wasn't
I
in-
stand corrected.
Okay.
Can you write that down,
because,
please?
because she doesn't have notes from that meeting. I'm just saying.
No, I stand corrected.
He was-
When I make a mistake, I am willing and voluntary to admit it. So I stand corrected that my statement that Abdul was sanctioned is incorrect. It's just a warning of further sanction.
And it was
Okay.
for the parents to be aware, and we wanted the parents to sign it. And everyone on the list also received a phone call, and the parents were aware of the letter coming home. And that's when we discovered that you were not comfortable signing the letter.
Okay. You're very good at distracting me from the topic, right? So you signed that letter based on the event of that day, like as an incident of that day, or I'm sure you discussed this previously, because you know I accept that you could have meetings and say, look, the class is regularly being disturbed. You know, we need to take action. We need to suspend some of these students as a well, whatever, you know, motivations or motivation. And so we'll do it. We'll do it on this day. And, you know, you might have had those discussions and signed the papers earlier. Because that day, there was no incident. You know, there was no incident that day. It was all very calm. Done very calmly. Abdul did talk to the teacher. And he wasn't the only one, by the way. There was another child who was trying to help the teacher. Even if it's just to say something like, yeah, it's that fun. You know, like it's very minimal, but there was another child who contributed to that activity, let's say. And so this is the limit of the incident of that day. So, I mean, do you stand by your statement saying that these suspensions were issued based on the incidents and events of that day, or is it more normally viewable in this situation that it's based on children's general chaotic behavior in that class over you know, several days and weeks?
understand, I'm sorry, I didn't catch, I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you stand by your statement that says the letters were issued based on the incident or activities of that specific day? Or is it more, which would be normally viewable as more appropriate, that it would be based on the general chaotic behavior of
The letter of warning
students
he received.
based over several days
Okay,
and
the letter
weeks?
of warning your son received was based on that day. However, we can go through some of the other incidences that have been reported regarding his behavior that were witnessed by the teacher and the childcare worker.
So,
As a point of information, if you would like, we can review those as well.
okay, again, you're very good at I just want to know if the letter of warning was issued specifically for the activities and events of that day. We all know what that day means, of that day.
It was based on, yes, what Ms. Nicholas observed when she went into the classroom.
Yes. So, Ms. Pella stands by her statement saying that the letter.
Yeah, you're not gonna be telling her what to write. I think that she's more than capable of taking the minutes.
I've been in many meetings where the minute taker just said, we discussed the time.
I'm
you
gonna
know.
have to stop you. I
Okay.
don't think you're here to badger the secretary.
No, I'm here to get on a fact.
Okay.
A
Now,
fact
since you've
finding
been
mission.
asking me questions,
Yes,
now
yes.
maybe I can ask you a question.
Okay, all right.
Can you explain to me why you feel uncomfortable with the fact that we want you to be aware of the things that are happening with regards to Abdul?
Well, nothing's happening. I just told you, do you stand by a statement, which I think is a false statement? And you said yes. So that's the problem, like, you know, right there.
Okay,
Okay.
so you are uncomfortable with that.
You're very good at distracting from the
Okay, but
question
you've
that was
already
just,
said
or
that.
statement
You've
that
told
was
me
just said.
that 5 times that I'm not trying to distract you. I'm trying to understand why you don't want us to be able to communicate. Because what you're doing right now is you're making us feel as though you would prefer not to really know what's going on. We can review.
No. I just told you what went on, and you told me that there was lots of noise and chaos, and the teacher was shocked by this behavior, and, you know, so, you know, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying it's not true.
Okay. So do you think that the vice principal would be called to a class to observe if there was no problem in the class? She wasn't there she's there because she has to be there. When we have issues with a class, which doesn't happen very often, we do send an administrator in order to help the
Absolutely,
teacher
yeah,
deal
no,
with
yeah,
what's
I
going
agree
on,
with
okay?
all of that. What you just said, yes.
So that's why she was there.
Okay. But there was no incident on that day. Text messages for the suspension letters. So, you know, it was kind of like prearranged, and knowing that there was previous chaos in the classroom.
So you're under
There
the
was
impression
nothing
that
that day.
you're under the impression that we had pre-identified Abdul beforehand? Is that what your concern is? You think that we might have singled him out? I'm not sure, I'm not sure that that's what you think.
I think that
But
he...
is that what you think? Because maybe for the record, you can
Yes.
write down, please, Ms.
For
Young,
for
that that's not at all what happened.
For the
We don't
record,
have anything,
yeah, for the record,
against Abdul.
I don't know. I don't know if he was singled out that day, but he was selected amongst a section. Okay, that's the key word. It's a section. So, like, everybody in this section, stay back. Okay, it's a section. It's not like identification of a student. It was a section. He was in the section, and he was helping the teacher. So, you know, that's the reason. I'm just saying, I don't think he was particularly pre-identified. I'm just saying that he went along in a section, and for helping the teacher also, two bogus reasons. Please put that on the record. They're bogus reasons for this suspension. And I'm going to get to another event. So that's what I would go on the record as saying. Okay. Um, so,
So where would
Can
you
I-
like us to go from here?
can I
Where
have
do you
access to
think-
that text message? I'm on the record as, making a request. Can I have access to the text messages that
What
were?
text message? I'm
that-
not following.
I made a long explanation about essays and compositions and text messages. You didn't follow any of that?
So you want a text message from,
Miss Nicholas,
to who?
somebody in office to bring up the letters of suspension. You didn't report that, did you? That there was a text message sent by Miss Nicholas?
There was no text message sent. We don't communicate by text, we communicate by email. And I'm the one
Oh,
who
okay,
receives that
okay,
information.
that's a valid point.
Yeah.
It could have been an email.
Mhm.
It could have been an email
Okay.
sent to the office.
And you're saying you would like
A
to
copy
know
of
how
that
Ms.
email.
Nicholas and I communicate with Mr. Is that your concern? Like,
I would like to know the email that was sent or text message. You're saying it's an email, okay. Irrelevant,
It is
okay.
irrelevant.
Okay, okay.
I know, but I'm
Okay,
just
the
concerned,
email,
like-
okay, I would like to know about that email that was sent from the classroom to notify the person to bring up the letters of suspension. Like, how
okay,
was
but
that
there weren't a
explained?
letter of suspension. It was a warning. so
Warning of
Harris
suspension, yes.
would be aware that there was some
Uh,
difficulty in the classroom.
I would find it difficult to explain and justify a letter of warning of suspension to the principal who has own sole authority of doing so through an email. So I'm just saying, I would like to know if I can have access to that email.
Okay, and the answer would of course be no.
Okay.
You don't have access to our personal documents, to our personal notes, or to our personal emails.
I'm assuming it's business related, it's not personal. So that email was business related?
No, it's personal related. Personal is my business. I mean, that's what I do. That's what the principal of a school, you cannot have access to my communication.
I'm of the opinion that I could,
Okay.
if it relates to any, inappropriate actions taken against students. But just while we're on that little point, there's another email sent by Mrs. Maselli to Mrs. Nicholas justifying Abdul's detention in concerning his name. Can I have access to that email?
No, you can't have
No?
access to our personal notes, Mr. Bettis.
Again, that was sent by an EMSB email address to EMSB email address. So it's not personal
Okay,
at that point.
maybe that's what you think. Unfortunately, you don't have access to our personal emails or our notes. But
Okay.
did Abdul serve that detention? Did Abdul serve the detention that he received from Ms. Masali? Or the detention that
He
You're
received from by
referring
Ms.
to-
Nicholas.
you're referring to?
No, he did not
Okay.
serve detention.
The detention was removed.
It was not removed by Ms. Nicholas.
That is unfortunate information because the student supervisor does not have the authorization to take away a detention.
Okay, all right, I'll go along with your flow. Let's talk
Can you
about,
document that as well?
let's talk about a different topic now.
Hold on, are we finished with the detention?
With the suspension, letter of suspension?
The letter of warning, we're done?
Yes?
The detention,
Not really.
did he have a detention?
Okay, so we would like to switch topics now, as per Mrs. Nicola
No, you switched the
Toulos.
topic, you asked about the detention.
I asked about if I can have access to an email. It was a small part of that
About
topic.
a detention
Yes,
that he never served because it was taken away
yes,
by the student supervisor
yes,
that was given the information from
Yes.
Ms. Nicholas.
no.
Ms. Nicholas, the administration gives out the detentions and retracts them if there's a need. The student
Okay,
supervisor
let's
does not have
talk
the
about this.
authorization.
So, Abdul received, okay, let's just, go chronologically and in detail. So, around lunchtime of that day, Abdul and 3 of his friends, you could write this down if you deem it appropriate. Abdu and three of his friends were loitering, for lack of a better word, on the third floor when they happened upon Mrs. Masali. Mrs. Masali, would you like to relate the full events, sequence events of that day before I do? Because, you know, I don't want to take more. Go ahead.
No, but we're happy to have you. Go ahead.
I would like to hear your version of the events
Okay.
as they happened from the beginning, like from that.
We're not, he received a detention that was then retracted by the student supervisor, given to, by Miss Nicholas. Miss Nicholas is the one who gives the detentions and takes them away. The student supervisor does not have that decision-making ability. He received a detention in the hallway, which was then taken away. And he did not serve. And he did not, you don't need to, like, we're not interviewing our secretary.
No, but I just want to make sure it's on the record that Ms. Pella says that, can I call you Ms. Pella?
You can absolutely call me
Okay,
Ms.
thank you.
Pella.
And Mrs., excuse me, hello, Mrs. Lynn? Mrs. Lynn, hello. Can we just state for the record that Ms. Pella says that the detention in December, it was in December, right? I believe so, yeah. In December was taken away by Ms. Nicholas because the student supervisor does not have the authority or right to do so, and therefore it must have been done by Ms. Nicholas. Okay, I got the impression that that's all you want to say about that. So I will, proceed now. So around noon of that day, Abdu and three of his friends were loitering. Loitering in the third floor near the staircase. Miss Maseli saw them and kind of said, shoo, like move along, like in that attitude. And Abdu kind of said, yeah, we're gonna move. We're like, kind of like to say, we're gonna do it. We're just like, we're not in any big hurry, something like that. So it was not disrespectful. It was not with attitude, as was stated to me by Mrs. Nicholas. Yes, she said Abdu demonstrated attitude. Okay, for lack of a better word, she just used that word. Demonstrated attitude towards Miss Masali, and Miss Masali took exception and asked for Abdu's name. Okay, that was the first thing. What's her name? So Abdu said, Abdu. And I'm just laughing because this story is so ridiculous. I can't control myself every time I explain it. So Abdu said, Abdu. And Miss Masali said, like, I don't believe you, or something like that. Show me your ID card. Okay, so Abdu gave her his ID card. She saw the name, Abdu. Previous to asking for the ID card, Abdu's friends vehemently, okay, you can write that word down, vehemently. Abdu's friends vehemently were trying to convince and make Mrs. Masali accept that Abdu's name was, in fact, Abdu. Like they were going, his name is Abdu, it's Abdu, like in that behavior, tone. And so she didn't believe, still. She asked for the ID card. She looked at his ID card. I imagine the picture looked like him and everything, but she still did not believe that his name was Abdu, I'm assuming at that point, because she confiscated the ID card and brought it to the office. I'm assuming she brought it to you. Is that right, or Ms. Nicholas?
She did not bring it to me. No.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's Miss Nichols, but I'm going on the assumption because
Okay.
I couldn't tell you. for
Okay,
sure.
okay, some things we can assume, some things we can state. Okay, so, I'm assuming to Ms. Nicholas, and, I'm assuming they did some sort of verification, like, yeah, I think this is him, yeah, you know, or not, you know, and some sort of verification and confirmation, that, it's in fact his real name, and that's the real person, and whatever crime he was responsible for was discussed, and Ms. Maselli, Ms. Nicholas, yes, Ms. Nicholas asked for an email explanation from Ms. Maselli to explain her side of the story. Okay, that should be stated as such. Ms. Nicholas requested an email from Ms. Maselli to explain her side of the story. Okay? Her side of the story. So Ms. Nicholas received this email from Mrs. Maselli, which I would like a copy of. You know, Mrs. Miniaci told me I should be able to, unless there was something very, where's she used? Bad, okay? Like, I'm
Can
gonna.
you please document that this says Ms. Miniaci said he has access to people's emails, please?
Yes, please document that. Mrs. Miniaci told me that I should be able to have access to that email. No problem. Unless, you know, she did put that condition, you know, like, unless there is something very bad, written in the email, which I'm assuming, you know, when we assume things, we say we assume, which I am assuming meant that it would be self-incriminating evidence. Okay. So, if there's self-incriminating evidence in there, you know, for the time being, I can understand it might be withheld until we have further rights. Okay, so she got the email. I'm assuming she went over it and discussed it and whatever. And then in fourth period, which is the last period, right? We all know what fourth period is. Fourth period. Mrs. Nicholas went to Abdu's English class. It was an English class. She disrupted the class. You know, she came and said, "I would like to speak about it." And Abdu went to the door, and Ms. Maselli gave him back his ID card, and she had a double sheeted detention paper. Abdu describes it as like carbon copy kind of thing. When you write something on the first page, it comes out on the second page, and basically it was to say, yes, this is your detention, it's confirmed. She used the word, it still stands. Like, you know, I reviewed the case, I got an email from Ms. Maselli, and your detention still stands. Okay. She used that word. I remember it because it's a curious word. It still stands, meaning, you know, yeah, it's kind of iffy, but, you know, we're still going to go with it. It still stands was the term that she used. Would you like to write that down? It still stands. Thank you, Mrs. I'm not good with names. It's not good for this dossier, I know, but I need to write everything down. Okay. Okay, so it still stands, and she gave him the first copy, or the second. Again, it's irrelevant, but she gave him one of the copies, and she took the other copy and left with it. So the next thing was basketball, because Abdu plays on the basketball team, and he had a basketball practice that day, and so he couldn't go, right? Because he had a detention. So naturally, the first thing he does after school, after the fourth period, is go see the basketball coach. Now, conveniently and happily, well, for me, I'm not going to say for me, for the truth, happily, for the sake of the truth, Mr. Walton was also the student supervisor. And we had a basketball practice that day, so everything kind of fell into place perfectly for the sake of truth. Again, I'm going to use that word, for the sake of the truth. So Abdul was forced to go to see Mr. Walton and said, I can't come to practice today. And Mr. Walton said, why? You know, like, I have detention. What? What kind of detention? It was all very surprised to him. He didn't have any information about this detention. And then Abdul explained, Mr. Walton had no knowledge of the detention. Thank you. And then he said, like, why? What's this detention for? And so Abdul explained, and Mr. Walton was flabbergasted. So, you know, he couldn't believe it, and he said, you go to practice, I'll remove the detention. So Abdul never heard from anybody again concerning that incident, like anybody, but Mrs. Nicholas or anybody, myself, whatever, and never heard anything again about this incident. Okay, so when I said to Mrs. Nicholas, you know, that was like not a good, you know, sanction. That is a sanction, right? A detention.
Yes,
It could be term. I said, I discussed with her at one point. That's not like a correct sanction, you know, a good sanction, you know. And she said, oh no, I took care of that. I removed the detention. Wow, you know, it flabbergasted me too, you know, to hear that. And I told her, no, it was Mr. Walton. And you know, she said, oh, I went to see Mr. Walton, and I told him to take it off. And so I called Mr. Walton on the phone, okay, on Monday this week at 12:21. Oh, by the way, all phone calls can be retrieved too from these servers. Okay, so anyway, I called Mr. Walton on Monday at 12:21, and I got his phone number, his direct personal cell phone direct line from Abdul, because all the players had it, you know, because they had to communicate directly with their coach. So I called him on his personal cell phone line. And I said, you know, hello, Mr. Walton, you know, how are you? I'm Abdul plays on your team, right? Yeah, okay, I'm his father. So I just wanted to talk about this detention he had in December, where Abdul came to see you about detention. He couldn't go to practice. Remember? I said, yeah, of course I remember. Okay, it was very clear to him. And I said, I called Mr. Walton on this Monday at 12:21. Oh, you're pretty good. Okay. And Mr. Walton said that he remembers the incident clearly. Also, some things are more important than others. Mr. Walton said he does remember the incident clearly. And I said, okay, good. So, what happened? Like, I kind of reviewed the events with him. So Abdul came to you after school and said, I can't come to practice because he has detention. Yes, that's what he said. And I said, okay, so did Miss Nicholas contact you concerning this detention previous to Abdul coming to visit you? He said, no, Mrs. Nicholas never talked to me that day, or ever, before the detention or after. Because we might think she might call him after, saying, why did you remove the detention, right? You know, like, or something like to that effect. She never contacted him after either. So before or after? Can we just state that for the record? Mm-hmm. Okay, before or after? Like, basically, she never contacted him concerning this detention. So I said, well then, see, I didn't know procedures during that phone call with Mr. Walton. So I said, well, how was the detention removed? You know, I thought, like you, that only like a vice principal could assign detention or remove detention. So I said, like, how was the detention removed? He goes, I'm a student supervisor. It's my job. I do that. That's my post, my responsibility, to assign the detentions and to remove them if necessary. And he even said a comment like, some kids, when they assign detentions, he was no longer talking about this case specifically, but he said that when some kids are assigned detentions, I look at precedents. You know, I say, look, this kid's never been, it's not on the list. He never received a detention before. I won't give those kids detentions. He said that. So it's based on precedent. And if I know the child or I see him as having had a lot of detentions previously, I will proceed to assign him to detention. But it's a lot of it is my at my discretion, and it's my responsibility, in effect. He explained all these things to me. And I didn't know there was a student supervisor who was responsible for those things. And I told this to Ms. Miniachi, by the way, because I said, you know, this is a big mistruth. I know, I don't want to use the word lie, because I used that word once with Ms. Pella, and she took extreme exception. So I would like to go on record as, you know, you should maybe write this part down too. I would like to go on the record as apologizing to Ms. Pella for the one time when I did say that she lied. By the way, her response to that was, so you are calling me a liar, like in question form? And I said no. You know, the two things are slightly differentiatable, but I did still use the term that you lied once, and I would like to apologize for that. Okay, so henceforth I will use the word mistruth or not telling the truth, things like that. I think those are not condemnable terms, for lack of a better term. So I told Ms. Miniachi, this is a huge, huge mistruth that Ms. Nicholas should state that she took away the detention. She talked to Mr. Walton, and she informed him to remove the detention. I said, this is a huge mistruth. And Mr. Miniachi was at a loss of words. I don't know like how that could happen. You know, I said, yeah, you know, this is a huge mistruth. So yeah, this is the first incident that my child was sanctioned incorrectly, falsely, and significantly, importantly, I let this incident go. Okay, go. I mean, you know, for lack of a better term, I let it go because it was the first time that Abdul ever had any sort of problem at LVPS. And I said anything can happen once, you know. Despite the huge miscarriage of justice, and who knows what kind of other intentions involved in a case like this, but I still let it go because it was the first time. I can let anything go once in life, right? Like, you know, maybe not a punch to the face, but you know, anything I can forgive once in life, but twice it's a pattern. Twice a pattern. You know, maybe to state that for the record, twice is a pattern. It means it's going to happen a third time. So when did it happen twice? It happened for a year, you know. So this was like a second bogus, warning of sanction, not a sanction. And I would just like to state for the record that I'm open to receiving a suspension for bad behavior. The proof of that is when Miss Nicholas called me to say, look, Abdul sent a letter of warning suspension, it's not signed, like what's going on? I was surprised, because I had no knowledge of it. It went to his mother's house, and, but I said to her specifically, yeah, we'll have it signed and returned to you, like, I was on board, like, right from the beginning, I did say I'm going to check it with Abdul just to see what happened, because I didn't receive an explanation what it was. So, but I was on board from the beginning. Like, let's sign this and return it. Abdul needs correctional, steps, possibly, obviously, or whatever. If he received this, I was on board. So I'm not, as I might be characterized, closed-minded or closed to the possibility of sanction against my child. Like some parents might say, no, you can't punish my child. Like, let's say he was like taking drugs in the hallway, I don't care, you can't sanction my child. There are parents like that. There are. I'm a hockey coach, by the way. This is an aside, but I think it's a good time just to mention it indirectly, it's related. I coach my child's hockey team, so I know about difficult parents and difficult kids. We're in the same business, okay? I'm doing this. I do this. It's an education. Hockey is an education. You have to say, look, you need to pass on the left, you go right. It's an education. It's very complicated. It's almost more complicated than school. So there's discipline involved. There's fairness involved. I've been caught many times by the kids saying, yeah, but you didn't bench that guy when he was late, and I was in, please write this down, I think it is related to the issue. I have caught myself in situations where I have had to retract sanctions against children because, I was informed of my error that I may or may not have seen of my own accord. So the link is, that's what I would like. I would like you to say, maybe this was a mistake. Can we retract the letter? And a final link to that is that you may not want to retract the letter. This is kind of important also if you write this down. You may not want to retract the letter because you think that it has achieved some good. For example, I informed Abdul to stop all whispering, because that's basically what he's accused of. His worst crime is whispering. I said stop that completely. He has, right? You've noticed improvement in his behavior?
Ms. Ward has noticed a significant improvement.
Okay.
The teacher has
Yeah,
definitely
I
don't see him on a regular basis, but the teacher has noticed a significant improvement.
I told him to make sure you stop any whispering, anything that could be deemed incorrect. And I told him to go to all your tutorials and to study harder now after this letter, all related to this letter. So I can see how that, you make a link and say, okay, look, we gave a letter, here's the result. Letter, good result. I'm not taking away this letter, like it achieved its desired goal. So I would just like to go on the record and say there's a misperception there, okay? The reason, this is important, the reason why Abdul's behavior has improved is because I'm hoping to have the letter retracted. And I realize that it's going to be difficult and we need to have some sort of give and take of good faith, show of good faith. And so that's why I told Abdul, I said, look, if we're going to get this retracted, we need to show them that we're at least on side. We're with them. We're good, and we're going to proceed well and be good, and we're going to act in good faith. Okay, so stop like anything that could be seen as incorrect, and study harder. Study harder. This all is of the letter, but not for the reason that you think. It's not like, wow, he really did something bad. I'm sorry. I need to like correct myself, and now we're gonna be better. That's not the cause effect. That's not the cause effect. So maybe that was, you know, a reason. You said, I'm not taking away his letter because look at all the good it's resulted in, you know. But it's just not the case. It's just not the case. As a matter of fact, a lot of the kids who received the letter and accepted it are continuing with the same behavior in class. Unfortunately, it's true. I know you might say, like, Ms. Pella goes to class and checks it, but, you know, clearly if she goes to class, she's going to shut up. I know that's a borderline term to use, but shut up. But, you know, if she goes to class, they will shut up, you know. So it's not something that's verifiable. You know, you can ask the teacher. There's 30 students in class who are witness to this. The behavior, the loud noise, all that is pretty much, I was told it's not as bad as before, but it's like really close. It's pretty much the same as before. So it hasn't had the desired effect, even in the cases where it's justified. Because there are some students who deserve this letter, and it hasn't had the desired effect against them either. So yeah, that's all I want to say for that. So can we have the letter retracted? I'm going on the record. I didn't sign it?
No, so we're okay. I mean, you don't have to sign it. It would have been the same thing as us just phoning you. It was just a method of communication. It wasn't anything more than that.
Okay, but
It doesn't follow him, you know, through CJEP. It's not something that ever is going to be held against him, you know, in a post-secondary education.
That's very important. Can we write that for the record, Mrs. Lynn? It's not going to follow him to CJET.
Mr. Dennis, when your son's going to be in secondary 5,
Yes,
and he's going to be applying March the 1st,
yes.
what the information that's downloaded, as you know, through the computers now, because you're not even going to have to do a written application. It's all done online.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah, it's not as like when we went to school.
Yeah, I remember.
It is all done online, so you're going to get online, and what happens is they download from the Ministry of Education his marks. They're directly sent to the CEGEPs.
Very good.
Okay. There is nowhere on any application form, even in the private CEGEPs, where they would ask us for any kind of other paperwork. His entrance to CEGEP, I'm just gonna tell you.
I just want to be written down. It's very, very important. Right?
They won't follow him to see.
It won't follow the
These are not
CEGEP.
documents that ever really leave the building.
Mm-hmm.
They're for you.
So,
They're for, you
yes.
understand?
Yeah,
They're for
I
the
just wanted,
parents. Like, maybe you misunderstand what this paper, you know, this paper trail is worth when it comes to his future.
yes.
And many parents have that concern, and I understand. Are you gonna listen or?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay,
I
so-
know you think that a lot of your information not
No, but-
getting
but many
this far,
parents
but
feel
it's all of it
uncomfortable.
is getting clear, and,
Okay.
you know, that's
A
why
lot of
the
parents
cases.
think
Okay, yeah, go ahead. A lot of parents think that it's gonna.
that the paper trail will follow them.
Mm-hmm.
It does not. This is an internal method of communication with the parents, so that you're aware of things that go on in the classroom and in the school. That is what we need our paperwork for. It is not, nothing follows them to say just accept their marks.
So, I would like to go on the record as a response to that statement. So Ms. Pella is minimizing, okay? Please use that word, I think it is correct, it's not a faulty term. She's minimizing the extent and importance of the letter of warning, of suspension, to the effect of it's, amongst other things, it's not going to follow him to CJEP. Okay, so this is being minimized. And however, it's a faulty letter all the same. I think we need to address that further. I have other points, but it's a faulty letter, and it's being minimized in its effect because the error does not want to be corrected. I mean, that's the way I see it. I'm going on record as saying that. So the effect is being minimized because the error does not want to be corrected. Okay. So let's talk personally for 10 seconds if we can. how would you like it if your child, do you have children? Like,
Is that a reason? I don't know.
all right, no.
But, you know, really, I mean, I have nothing to hide, of course, I have children, yes, I do.
Okay, so are they in the school? Or? You're not that old, right? I just insulted Miss Pala, I'm sorry. Okay, so.
Actually, my son's 18, so.
Really? Wow. Okay, anyway, you know, how would you feel if your child received this letter of suspension for, I don't know, anything, smoking in the hallways, and you know that your child never smoked, you know, would you say, well, by the time he gets to CJEP, this letter will be removed? Would you, like, be happy with that explanation or result? Would you be happy? That's my question. It's a yes/no question.
Well, actually, I'm not here to be interrogated,
Okay.
so we could maybe add that on the
So-
record. But if my child comes home with any form of document from the school, I take it seriously.
Absolutely.
Always have.
I'm ready to go to court for this, you know. It's serious. All right, we agree. Me and Ms. Pala agree on one point. So the other thing related, is, you know, to minimizing the letter of warning, of suspension is, if you receive a complaint against you and a warning, you know, like something to the effect of, you know, if you're not dealing fairly with children in the future, further sanctions will be taken against you. You know, would you say it's just a letter, you know? You can phrase that question as such, and Ms. Pella is not answering. I asked her the question, you know, if she received, or were to receive, it is, you know, it is a hypothetical question, but still, I think it's related to minimizing the letter of warning of suspension. I'm saying for turn page, she went backwards for this. I'm sure you want to fill in some details. Great.
You just reiterated, so I'm reiterating.
Okay, so I just asked Ms. Bala, you know, like if she were to receive
I have it, back here.
a letter of warning
Yeah.
stating.
Ask Ms. Pella how she would feel if her child received a letter.
No, this is a different question. I asked her how would she feel if she were to receive a letter of complaint or warning against her or her person, stating something to the effect of, you know, you should deal fairly with all children in the future, or, you know, further actions could be taken against you. You know, it's a hypothetical question, but, you know, would your answer to that be, well, it's just a letter of warning. It's not a sanction. It's not a sanction. You know, because these are things that are being thrown at me. You know, and I'm amazed. So I'm just trying to get you in touch with that feeling that I'm feeling. So, you know, would you just say it's just a letter? It's not a sanction? Would you say that? Do you wish to say you don't want to answer, or you're just not going to answer?
This isn't a meeting about me and how I feel.
Okay, so she said this is not a meeting about her. It's a valid point.
Can I just take a break, because I believe my boss is waiting for this.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Mrs. Miniachi is here?
No.
She told me that she's your boss.
I'm sorry,
She told me that she's your boss. Is she here?
Miss Miniachi's not here now.
Okay.
I have many bosses.
You do? Wow.
Somebody help me, Ok, non, c'est correct. Sylvia Lobianco va venir chercher la lettre. Can Miss Lobianco might come and get this book, okay, in case she comes while in the meeting, okay? Or somebody will come forward. Excusez-moi.
Okay, sorry to
To
introduce.
interrupt all of you. Excusez, merci.
sorry about that.
Okay.
Somebody wants more attention. Okay.
All right, so, any more reports? Like, I would specifically like a report from Ms. Ward.
This is a report from Ms. Ward regarding an incident that happened in the classroom. Abdul.
Which day? Which day?
Abdul,
An event that happened in the classroom on,
March the 12th. Abdul was disrespectful and malicious in class. So you want to write down Ms. Ward report?
are there any, like, foundation or
Abdul was
or basis?
disrespectful and malicious in class while explaining a new concept. I asked Abdul to turn around twice and stop socializing. After the second reminder, he did turn around and I resumed my lesson. And at that point, he said, "Nobody even cares what the fuck you have to say." That is the report from Ms. Ward.
And this was on March 12th. So this was not on the day of that incident? Oh,
I'm not talking about Ms. Ward. We're not talking about the incident right now.
I am.
You asked me about Ms. Ward.
yes, I'm asking,
Okay, I'm talking about an incident about March the 12th.
okay,
Okay, that was what I was reporting on.
okay. You know, that's not, I mean, that's fine, we can, but what I want to talk about is the events of, well, that day, you know.
We just did that.
No, I want Ms. Ward's report.
No, I don't have Ms. Ward's report for that day.
You
It's
don't
Ms.
have-
Nicholas who made the report.
I would like to have a report from Ms. Ward of the events of that day.
Ms. Nicholas made the report of the events of that day.
I understand. Is it possible that I also have a report from Ms. Ward of the events of that day?
Can you please, we're going around in circles. You've been here for an hour
Yes.
and we're still not reaching a point where we can cooperate. I don't know what it is that we can do as a school right now
Well, what I would like to
can I finish
do,
my sentence?
okay,
In order to be able to continue communicating with you with regard to your son.
mhm.
There's nothing right now in this meeting that's going anywhere. We're going around in circles. What would you like us now what would you like to achieve during this meeting right now so that we can move on? Turn the page, let Ms. Young and Ms. Ling go back to her work. I need to understand. If
Well, I
the
want-
solution, if your son is right now in a position where he is doing well in Ms. Ward's class, behavior at least, we don't know the academics yet, and she is seeing an improvement.
In the motivation
that-
of having the letter retracted, not
Isn't
as
that-
apologizing for the bad behavior. Yes,
Isn't
yes.
that what we're all here for, to a certain extent? Isn't that what we'd like? I have tried to make you feel like we're partners in your son's education. I've tried to listen as much as I can to your concerns. I'm reiterating to you, because when your original phone call, you said we thought he was a problem child. We've never once called your son a problem child.
Can we put that on the record, please? Ms. Pella is convinced that Abdul is not a problem child, exhibiting, can I paraphrase? Exhibiting
No, why would you
problem-
paraphrase what I just said?
Because the rest would
It's
be,
me
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
talking. I'm sorry, you do not take my words,
I'm asking you.
paraphrase them, and then have the recorder record.
I'm
Miss
asking
Young
you.
is recording what I am saying right
Okay,
now.
so Ms.
And I am telling
Hello.
you that we as a school have tried everything under the sun to try to communicate with you in the best interest of your child.
Mhm.
Your son right now seems to be okay in Miss Ward's class. Is that not what we want as a team? You as the parent and us as the school.
But my immediate reaction to that statement is that Abdul's behavior has always been I can't say perfect, but non-suspensionable. Okay, there's no suspensionable behavior exhibited ever. I've talked to all of his parents, all of his teachers, by the way. I've been to many parent-teacher interview nights, and I get this reaction from all of them, like, wow, Abdul is such a sociable, they use that word, sociable, open, kind, like such a great kid, and this is voluntary. I never asked him about his behavior. It's more of an academic, event, and we want to know, like, why is young different? This is what, and they always volunteer that information to me. It's like, your kid is like Abdul. He's a great kid. He's so sociable, and like he's always like contributing to that, and this and that. They go on and on and on. So. Yes, that's what I was saying. This fellow said that Abdul is not a problem child, exhibiting problem behavior. That's all I wanted to paraphrase, but I was stopped. That's why, I said paraphrase.
But
Exhibiting
Ms.
problem
Lynn is supposed to be
behavior.
writing down what I say, and she's supposed to write what you're saying. You're not supposed to paraphrase what I say and then have her write down. Okay, let's just be clear. But because we're not going anywhere, where are we gonna go from here? Like, where are we
Well,
going
I'm
from
trying to
here?
impress upon you that the events of that day are not as previously thought, let's say, and that the letter should be retracted. So that's what I want. I mean, you said, and then so Mrs. Lynn can go back to her job or whatever. That's all I want. Yes, that's all I want.
But you didn't sign it, and we recorded that. So you didn't accept the letter.
No, I want it retracted. Why would I sign it?
Okay, we're not retracting it. It's not your letter, it's our letter. It's something that's in our dossier as a method of communication. You choose not to accept it, that's fine.
But if it's a mistruth,
But it's okay. We don't mind that you didn't sign it. It's not going to change anything. We're not going to do anything with it anyways, Mr. Dennis. He's not suspended. I don't know what else to do. It's like
so
me
Ms.
not
Pella
having
is
called you.
minimizing the effects of the letter.
It's as if
again.
we hadn't called you. It was our tool to communicate with you. It's as if you hadn't picked up the phone. I don't know what else to say. He did not serve a suspension for this. You did not want to sign it.
Mhm.
We accept that. That's fine. Parents have the right to not be able to not sign something that we send home. That's fine. That's your choice. But that's okay. We're not forcing it. Like,
Yeah, but
I told you that from the beginning.
You're not getting the truth. You're not getting the point. It's a mistruth. It's a mistruth. So can we correct the mistruth of that? There was no incident that day, and Abdul was not responsible of suspensional behavior.
okay. You have to understand that neither I nor you were there. Miss Nicholas was there.
Yes.
We have the report that she made.
Yes.
This was her observation, and it was my call to send a letter of warning to the parents.
Okay. And some
That
of
was
those
it.
are valid. Some of
Okay.
those are valid.
And that was it.
Abdul's is not valid. I'm just trying to get through to you.
Okay, well, I
How do
don't
you
know.
feel
So
about
we're
that?
getting there.
How do you feel about that?
I understand how you feel as a parent.
Yes.
You are listening to your son's version of the story, and you have a right as a parent.
And there's
to
witnesses,
take-
and
to take
witnesses,
that version.
and witnesses, and witnesses,
And we as a school
and witnesses.
have a different version of the story.
Mhm.
But we're allowed to disagree, and we all agree to disagree, and that's fine. Your son is not
Okay.
suspended.
So we disagree, and if we say, for example, there was a chaos in the class when Ms. Bella arrived, and the truth is that there was no chaos, can we just say we continue to disagree and the letter stands?
Well, we just agree to disagree, and that Mr. Dennis is not comfortable signing the letter, and we accept that as a school.
And,
That's it.
and the letter is a mistruth. The letter is a mistruth, being the point of contention. So if it's a mistruth and we just say, okay, we just continue as if nothing happened, the mistruth stands. So it's not a question of, you don't have to sign a letter and everything else is business as usual. There's a mistruth here that needs to be uncovered and corrected.
Okay.
Okay,
I understand. I understand how you feel.
okay, you understand how I feel. But the letter still stands. It's
The
a
letter-
question, it's a
The letter
question.
exists. It's
Okay.
unsigned.
It's not unsigned actually right now.
It's unsigned.
It's not unsigned.
It's unsigned by you.
It's unsigned by me. Which brings me to the next topic
Oh, boy.
if you
Okay,
want.
so-
I
So
would-
we're not really gonna ever get, this is,
There was a mistruth, I just stated my case, and
okay,
you
Ms. Young,
you can
15
refuse.
more minutes and then we're gonna call it a day. Thank you.
Okay. So I would like to have a report of the day when Abdu, I believe it was this Monday morning, when Abdu was called to the office after his mother signed the letter, and Abdu was informed of this and other things. Can I have a report of that meeting, specifically what Abdu said in the report? Is there a report? Is there a report for that meeting?
A report
Yes
of
or
my
no?
meeting with who?
With
I met
Abdu and
with
his mother.
Abdu, I met with Miss Nicholas, I met with Abdu's mother,
Yes.
and Abdu was in the room at the time.
Yes. So that meeting.
Okay, so we met with him, we discussed the incident.
Is there a report? Yes or no?
No, there's no report for
There's
that.
no report
I mean,
for
I
that?
have my notes, but we don't have a report because we didn't have a reporter on that day. But I do have my notes, and I'll tell you
Okay.
that we discussed with him the kind of things that we want to see in, his behavior with
Mhm.
regards to mumbling under his breath and being disrespectful towards the teacher.
Okay, mumbling under breath. We're talking suspensional behavior here. It's all related to suspensional behavior. We're not talking, because if we're going to talk about people mumbling, how many students in this school? 1,000? More than 1,000? I realize it's a difficult job with over 1,000, but you basically have to suspend 1,000 kids if it's just talking and mumbling, So, as regards to disrespecting the teacher, he said nobody cares what the fuck you think. Is that correct? He stated that? Okay, no.
That was the report, are we talking about the report, Ms. Ward?
Yeah, we're talking about disrespect to the teacher. That's, that's to be verified, but, mumbling and just whispering and socializing in class, these, whispering and on occasion are not suspensional behavior. So, do we have a report, or can you explain to me what happened that
I
day?
just told you.
Okay,
I
could-
met with
yeah.
his son, Ms. Nicholas was
What he
there,
specifically
his mother
responded.
was there.
Mhm.
We discussed the fact that he was disrespectful towards the teacher, and we discussed the fact that that goes against the rules and regulations of our school. We'd ask him to be a little bit more polite to the teacher, and that was it. He did not get suspended, he did not get a detention, he was not sanctioned in any way. It was a very polite discussion.
Did you try or attempt to make him confess? Okay, let me explain what confess is. Accept your
No, we don't-
your punishment, or
we don't,
accept this letter
when we have-
and move on.
When we have the students in our office, we don't badger them in any way. We have a discussion. We were very nice with him. His mom was there as well, and
Mhm.
she was also a witness.
Mhm.
We did not coerce your son in
Did you
any
ask
way.
him to accept the letter now? And I assume it's based on his mother having signed it. You accept the letter now and move on. Accept it and move on.
Accept the letter? I don't think I gave him another copy of the letter, no.
No, accept it, like accept it in your
No, I meant
mentality
like,
and move
we
on
asked
and
him,
move on.
well, we asked him to turn the page and let's continue and let's get better and
Okay.
improve your behavior with Ms. Ward.
So accept the letter, accept the letter. You basically said like, can you please accept your, not punishment, but, just basically accept the letter as stated, that it's true or whatever, to
No,
accept
we
it.
didn't, we did not, I vehemently deny having coerced his son in anything.
And
We
move on.
tried to discuss the kinds of things he shouldn't be doing in the sports class, and that we just want the kids to be able to learn. And we need quiet in the classroom for the teacher to be able to teach.
Okay, so he specifically says that he was asked to accept the letter now, based on the fact that his mother had signed it, and to move on, in that term. And his response was, I will, or no, their request was to get over it, yes. For the record, please quote that. The request by Ms. Pella or Ms. Nicholas, again, that's a detail that I can confirm or is irrelevant at this point. But it was said to Abdul that he should, accept the letter and get over it, yeah, specifically. Okay, and Abdul's response was that I'll accept it, but I won't get over it. I'll accept it, but I won't get over it. And
The
I-
letter wasn't for him though, you know that, right? It
The letter
for
was
the
not for him.
parents. It wasn't meant for the student, it was for the parents, so that they can know what's going on in the class.
And Abdul says that the only reason why he said, I will accept it, is because he wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. So, in fact, it is
Okay.
duress. In fact, from a child's knowledge and perception, in fact, it was duress.
Okay, so where are we going from here, Mr. Dittis? Because now it's 2:06, and as I had told you when you called, today is a very busy day, I still have work to finish for the school board. Where do you want us to go from here?
So I would just like to have the untruths
Okay, in your file, I
dealt with,
will put in
and
the file
the
that
letter
father
retracted.
has requested, has refused to sign, or does not
Yes,
agree with what's on the letter of warning,
yes,
and the father has not agreed to sign,
yes.
so that'll be put in his file, which I told you I already did.
Mhm.
And that's it.
Okay, I would like to have further meetings with other teachers. I would also like to address, you said 15 minutes, I think I'm closer to 8 or 9. I'm pretty good with numbers.
Hmm?
You said I had 15 minutes left.
Yes,
and
no,
I'm-
you don't have 15 minutes, I have 15 minutes.
No, you said that.
And so does Ms.
I-
Lennox, it's 2:50, it's 2:07.
Yeah, I still have like,
And I need
it's been
to,
like 8 or 9 minutes. I'm pretty good with numbers. Abdul was suspended, for lack of a better word, from one media class, right, for the record.
that's your version, he was never suspended, but okay.
Okay, Abdul was withheld from one media class. As far as I know, for the reason of the letter of warning of suspension not being signed by the parents. Is that correct? Is that correct?
He was not suspended, no.
Okay, no, I didn't use the word suspended. I changed it. He was withheld from attending. Can we strike that from the record, suspended? Because I see that the word suspended, yes. Abdul was withheld from attending one media class for the reason of, that the letter was not signed by one or both parents. At that time, it was both. Is that normal? Is that normal behavior, that if the letter's not signed, the child should be withheld from attending class?
Well, we expect the parents to sign the letters, yes. We communicate, we contact the parents to find out why they
Mr.
refuse to
Dennis
sign the
asked
letter.
if that was normal behavior.
And then we call the parents to find out what went wrong, which is, I believe, what happened.
So Mr. Dennis asked if that's normal behavior, and Ms. Pella replied, I wasn't clear on that, please, can you reply again? Is that normal behavior?
When a student does not bring back a signed letter,
Mhm.
yes, we remove them from the class, and we contact the parents to find out what the problem is.
So this is normal behavior. To paraphrase, I do say paraphrase when I,
Okay, maybe you could stop putting.
okay, it's normal behavior, okay, stated as quoted. Go ahead. You told me on many occasions that we don't even have to advise you of this letter, you don't have to sign it, it's like not required, it's not a requirement. It's just a tool of communication, it's a method of communication. And yet you said that it's normal behavior if it's not signed, that we hold back a child from class. Is that too
The
contradictory?
parent is aware of the letter, many students don't show the letter to their parents.
So it is normal behavior to hold back a child?
We find out why the letter hasn't been signed, yes.
I had been on the phone with Ms. Nicholas about it, so I have been informed of it.
Okay.
And yet that's considered normal behavior even after the parent has been contacted on the phone and asked, and, you know, informed about the situation. But the child, to this day, has never been informed of his crime. For lack of a better word, you know, we use, okay, I don't want to exaggerate either, for his fault. He has never been informed of his fault. Is that considered normal behavior?
I told you I saw him. We met with his mom. He understood.
Okay, that was about 2 weeks after the fact. So until then, he was never informed of his fault. Is that normal behavior?
That's not true. He knew exactly why he got his letter of warning. Okay, next. What else?
Okay, Ms. Bella says he knew. Do you have any foundation or backing for that? Like, how would he know?
Miss Nicholas was there. Miss Nicholas is the one who gave him the letter of warning.
Ms. Nicholas was there. She gave the warning. But he was never told what the warning was for. Is that normal behavior?
I'm not sure what we're gonna do now.
I'm just asking the
So I
question.
really, I barely even know.
I'm just asking the question if it's normal
Okay,
behavior.
so where are we going? Now it's 2:15.
I want to
Our
highlight
appointment, hold on.
all the
Our appointment
errors
was at
and
12,
and
we came in at
incorrect.
1, or 10 to 1, or 1 o'clock, I'm not even sure what
12:40.
time. 12:40,
Okay.
and it is now 2:15, 2:11. Please, if you can summarize in the next 4 minutes, what we're gonna do from here on in, what can we do at this point, so that we can agree to continue this relationship with regards to your son, so that we do not have an incident like this again? Because
Well-
we're kind of going around in circles, Mr. Dennis, and I'm not sure what you want.
I'm trying to
Okay?
establish a general pattern of behavior, and it's important. I'm going to, if I have 4 minutes left, I'd use it just for this. Do you find it normal that a child not be informed of the reason of his suspension? Is that normal behavior?
He was informed, he knew why he had gotten the letter of warning.
Okay, what foundation or do you have, or basis do you have for that? that you
Miss
think-
Nicholas was in the classroom.
Ms. Nicholas was in the classroom.
She was the one who assigned the letter to the
She
student.
did assign the letter of suspension to the student. On the letter, it just says, this is a warning, it doesn't say what the crime was. Again, I don't want to be exaggerating anything at any point, so we'll strike crime from the record. His fault, it doesn't say what his fault was. So again, is it normal here that this child never be informed of his, the reason of the suspension?
That is his version, that is not my version.
Okay, so what
the
do you,
incident.
okay, what do you have as a foundation or basis to say that he was informed of his fault or reason? The
Miss
reason,
Nicholas was in the classroom, the students were aware why they were getting a letter of warning.
Ms. Nicholas was in the classroom and the students were aware. Aware told by Ms. Nicholas?
Aware.
Aware? The answer was aware. So I'm going to assume at this point that the fact remains that the child was never directly informed by any staff at the school for the reason of his letter of suspension. Okay, 4 minutes left. I assume I have 1 or 2. So yeah, I mean, let it stand on the record that my request is to correct the miscarriage of justice, which is to have the letter retracted, so that in the future, if he gets into trouble for any reason, like a kid punches him in the hall, you know, he could easily get suspended for that. I get a letter of warning for that, but it won't be a letter of warning this time. It would be a suspension. So, you know, this is the purpose, this is my sole purpose of being here, to have the letter retracted, please. So that's my conclusion and my request. as you stated. You wanted my conclusion or request,
Mhm.
so that's how it stands
Okay.
at this time. It's a miscarriage of justice. Okay, and the next step, if we can have future meetings, I don't know if you'll allow me to have future meetings, but if we have future meetings, the next step would be for me to meet with all of his teachers, all of them, to establish a pattern of behavior, problem behavior, or otherwise. Can we write that for the record?
Well, it's written several times that you want to meet with the teacher.
Okay, but this is like my final conclusion statement. Yes, the next step for me would be to request one-on-one or individual meetings with all of Abdu's teachers and related staff, the incidents mentioned, to establish a pattern of behavior of Abdu's problem behavior or lack of. And to establish the veracity or not the veracity or not of this letter of suspension. Now, I would like to meet with these teachers, but Ms. Pella is banning me. I don't know. Okay, not banning, but she's encouraging me. I'll say she's encouraging me to meet with those teachers in her presence and not individually. Okay. I would just like to ask the question directly to Ms. Pella. We'll take a case-by-case scenario. Does Mrs. Ward not want to meet with me individually, or is that your is that your opinion that you don't want me to meet her individually?
All meetings that are going to be held with the teachers in this building will be held in the presence of an administrator.
Can we state that for the record? I have had many meetings with Abdu's teachers in the past, individually, one-on-one. So, as a precedent, I just wanted to state that. So, in effect, you are banning me from meeting with teachers individually, stated as such.
That, you already said that.
Okay. Now, does Ms. Ward not want to meet with me individually? I'll just minimize the question because I need a yes/no answer. Does Ms. Ward not want to meet with me individually, one-on-one?
Due to the aggressive nature.
Please write this down.
And the tone.
This is very important. Due to
Can
the
I
aggressive-
speak?
Excuse me, sir, but you can't harass me, like, I'm
No, but
telling you what to do.
Due to
aggressive-
the aggressive nature and
Aggressive.
the tone of the discussions we have had with Mr. Dennis.
Please be advised that libel and attack on a person's character and reputation are things that are legal.
We will be meeting in
legal
the,
items.
due to that nature, and
That
the
can be
tone and
pursued.
the aggressive nature of Mr. Dennis' discussions with the administration, we will be meeting with the teachers in the presence of an administrator.
So Mrs. Ward does not want to meet with me individually. A yes, no answer?
Mrs. Ward has been told by Ms. Pella
Yes.
that we will be meeting, the three of us.
So she has not been asked to be meeting with me
I
individually?
had sent you an email inviting you to a meeting. You then chose, I believe, I don't have the exact date, but I can give it to you, and you decided not to come on that day. It was, I believe, 2 days ago after school, 3 o'clock. And you decided you weren't gonna come.
That was an offer made by you, that was not considered seriously. So,
So the offer was refused. You were invited to come and meet with her. She was more than willing to meet with you.
in conference, in a conference.
In a conference? No,
Yeah.
in here or in the conference room or
No, in conference meeting with
Yes.
a third or more party, in
Yes.
conference.
Yes.
Because the impression I get is that all teachers are individual persons. Like they have their own person, it's an individual person, and they're allowed to talk to and meet whoever they want. And the principal is not allowed to say you can talk to this person, not, unless there is serious cause. So this, I can't overemphasize this.
Okay.
Are you,
So
yes,
229.
banning me for a
220.
specific cause?
And I'm gonna just finish the meeting now. I've attempted. I have
So,
attempted to.
I'm just
reason
trying
with
to
you.
talk to people
Okay,
here,
can I just continue?
and, yes.
I've attempted to reason with you.
Mhm.
Okay. No matter what we say here right now, you seem as though you would like this to just never end.
No, I want to end right now. If you just say, I retract the letter, I'm out of here, and Ms. Lynn can, as you said, go back to doing whatever she wants to do.
We cannot retract the letter because you
Cannot.
never signed it. So.
Whoa,
it's
you
not
cannot
there.
retract the letter because I never signed it?
You never signed it. It's not
Okay,
even, it
I'll
doesn't
sign
even
it,
exist as far
I'll
as you're
sign it
concerned.
then. If it requires my
It-
signature to be retracted, I will sign it.
No, okay.
Okay, that's not,
What I'm saying is,
that's not the
you
way it
didn't
was
sign
phrased.
it, you didn't accept it,
Okay,
it's not even there. How's that?
it's not even there,
Pretend it didn't happen for you.
pretend it didn't happen.
I don't know why.
This is dangerously close to what I would like, but I'm still not clear on it.
Okay,
Pretend it never
Okay.
happened, it's not there.
the letter was not signed.
Yes,
We put in your dossier, in your child's dossier, that you did not want to sign it.
yes,
The parent does not accept
yes,
the letter of warning.
yes.
It's over. Your son is doing better in this words class?
Okay, we already went over the motivations
No,
for that.
no.
We already went over the
Your son
motivations
is
for
doing-
that. We
isn't
already
that
went
what
over
we
the
want?
motivations for that.
So we're in a good place right now. Your son is in a good place.
It was to show good faith.
Can we
in the
try,
attempt
is
of
there,
having
is there a way
retracted.
that we can try to turn this around so that? we
I
can
just
be
want to retract it.
positive?
I would have been done. We were close, actually, a minute ago. I was ready,
Okay.
I was reaching for my
So
hat
I tried-
practically.
Really, can we document, I've attempted several times to reason with the parent. I would like us to
I
be
have
able,
tried.
I would like us, Mr. Dennis, to be able to communicate again without having this kind of a, meeting. We're in a good place right now, your son is doing well, Ms. Ward is happy with your son.
It's in the
he's doing
attempt of having it
okay.
retracted. It's like an olive branch. You know what an olive branch is? We said, okay, we'll stop everything, in
Can we just
in
agree that we're done
expectation
here,
of
like
some
we're
negotiation of.
We're not, but we're not
removing-
negotiating,
Well,
we're trying to just
the truth is not negotiable. What we're negotiating is, can this be retracted or not in view of the facts?
so can we agree that we're finished and that we're gonna be able to have a positive interaction in the future and we'll be able to,
No, I would like the truth to be acknowledged. I would like the truth to be acknowledged, that the letter and previous detention are both bogus sanctions or warnings, and that they should be addressed before the third one occurs.
okay, so it's 2:23, the meeting is over?
Okay. And I would like to meet with these teachers.
We will make appointments, I will give you a schedule, and we will try to have things together. You don't have to come in several weeks.
Individually, of course. I would like to meet with them individually.
Okay, but I already told you that that's not gonna happen.
Okay. I couldn't get the answer of why. You came dangerously close to making some sort of statement there, but you didn't actually do it. So I'll pursue it with other means. Thank you, Ms. Stella and Ms. Lynn.